Hey guys, how's everybody doing tonight? This is Josh. I got my friend Gordon here with us. He is a prior service Army soldier, just like myself. We served together. Tonight, we want to discuss tactical considerations for mutual assistance groups. So what is a mutual assistance group? As I stated in my other video, it's a uniting of various people of different backgrounds, different skill sets to get together to form one common goal to survive as a community in an emergency situation, basically. Now, with that mindset, we're going to discuss what we consider tactical considerations for the mutual assistance group in this video. And the first thing we want to discuss is purpose, right? Really behind tactical considerations. What does the mutual assistance group have to consider when it comes to tactics, tactical equipment, and things of that nature? So I know Gordon had some very good points that we wanted to discuss first. I think that being like mission. What's your mission set?
Yes.
Right?
What is the overall mission in your purpose? The purpose of your group, what is your specific task? What are you bringing to the table for the rest of your group?
So within a tactical environment, everybody normally in a mutual assistance group will bring different skills. Same in a tactical environment. You can have somebody that specializes in communications like me, so I may be the comms person for that group. You may have a person that has experience with security or prior military like me that may be focused on doing that for the group. So consider what your role is in your group before you go out and start purchasing tactical gear. Now there is, some baseline stuff I think we would agree that everybody should have within a mutual assistance group that is going to be a defender in that group, right? But it all goes back to what is your mission and what is your role within that group. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that? I think the next thing that we wanted to discuss was budget, right? And I think this is where Gordon can really get into this. Gordon has extensive background in gear, weapon systems, post-military as well. So do you want to kind of talk about the broad spectrum of budget considerations?
Yeah, so you don't have to get the most expensive item out there, whether it's radios, whether it's a weapon system, whether it's your kit or gear. Really the big thing is quality. So what can you afford within your budget, and try not to strain your budget because of your preps.
Yeah.
Being a huge thing, because then you're kind of taking away from your current situation. And
being financially prepared, I think, is first and foremost one of those things you want to be anyways, right?
You can very easily create your own emergency and it take away from the rest of your family, which you don't want to do. So understanding your budget is extremely important. In terms of like different, but like for example, without, don't want this.
So go like, for instance, this would be my rifle system here. I have a Palmetto State Armory build. I built this rifle as a kit. And then this would be more of a budget option. Whereas,
how much did you total do you have in this?
It's about $1,000 total in the entire build. Whereas you want to talk about your build here. Now he does have a suppressor on it, but before the suppressor, just talk about the rifle build.
All right, so this is a Colt SOCOM 14.5. They retail for about $1,500, $1,600 depending on where you go. While that's not necessarily practical for a lot of people, this was as close or similar to a military weapon system that I'm familiar with or that I have worked with. And I understand its capabilities, its advantages and disadvantages. I understand how to manipulate this weapon system, which is why I have this one out in front of me right now. Without the suppressor, in total, it's probably sitting around $1,800, $1,900.
And then with the suppressor?
So the suppressor is an Omega 36M. It is through Silencer Co. I managed to get a deal for right around $1,000 for just the suppressor. This AK, on the other hand, I bought it secondhand off of a buddy. I think I paid about $1,000 for it total. The most expensive thing on this weapon system, honestly, is going to be the EOTech. This is the EXP3. The night vision capable. It's sitting somewhere around $700 to $800, brand new low end.
I think total invested in this aftermarket, though, you probably have an additional what? How much?
So we swapped out the pistol grip, the upper receiver, the receiver cover, and the foregrip. I don't think we did in the muzzle as well.
We added the pistol brace, the folding stock pistol brace, the EOTech.
Well, minus the optic.
Minus the optic.
We probably have another $600 to $800 at least.
Not a bad choice too. But another thing you want to consider when it comes to budget too, other than your firearms and fitting everything into your budget, is going to be like your gear. I would say eventually work your way up to getting tactical helmets, ballistic helmets and stuff. Again, depending on your role, but at least some kind of body armor,
Yeah.
body armor, over here we have a 511. This is a 511, right?
Yes, this is a 511. This is not my main setup. This is kind of like a backup that's currently under construction. Typically, I would run a Warrior Assault system. Those are a little bit harder to get your hands on unless you find a shop that has a resale shop or a retailer that sells it. These 511s are relatively cheap. I just got it to try to test it out and see how comfortable it was, likes, dislikes. That's kind of where I get my base knowledge from is it comfortable, is it functional, does it work, and is it worth the cost?
Yeah, when it comes to like your plate carriers or any gear, you need to, if you get it, you need to be wearing it, you need to be training in it, because that's really going to want to let you know if, hey, does this work for me or does it not work for me? Am I getting blisters in the small of my back because of this plate carrier that I have? My plate's sitting too low, are they too high? All of these things are going to be told to you when you get out there and you start shoot, moving, communicating. I think, anybody who's worn body armor for more than an hour out in a training environment or a combat environment will tell you the same. Yeah. You'll know if you like the gear or not.
Once you start running and sweating in something, how it reacts to your body, how your body's reacting to it, says a lot of things. And there are so many options out there.
For instance, how much would this cost brand new for this plate
I'm actually
carrier?
not even sure of the retail. I got it secondhand from somebody.
How much did you pay secondhand?
I didn't. This was just thrown to me to play with. Somebody had it laying around, didn't want it or didn't need it anymore. So I've never really practiced with 511's gear before. So I wanted to test it out just because it looked like it could potentially be comfortable with the shoulders.
Yeah, for me, I wanted something that was going to be affordable because again, I have, 5 kids, my wife, myself, but I was able to find a company that's veteran owned called Tacticon Armament. And this is more on the budget end, but quality. And when we say budget, just because you want to find something budget doesn't mean it's not quality. Find something that's budget, but that is still quality. Don't buy cheap. Don't go on Amazon and buy a Temu, Temu, plate carrier or something. Do your research.
Well, and there's a lot of airsoft-esque kit out there that
is not made for a real range.
It looks just like the real thing, and it's typically significantly cheaper, but it can be easily confused. A lot of that stuff does not hold up.
It doesn't. And again, I went through, I think I had two plate carriers now, 3 plate carriers that I went through, and this is the one that I finally settled on. And I've been running and gunning with this thing for about 2 years now in different variations, and it's finally come to this variation. But it's going to take time, if you're getting into this, to find what's comfortable, what works for you, and build off of that. As we always say, shooter's preference, right? Which I think comes to the next point that we wanted to make is preference, right? For me, it's just preference. I like OD green, Ranger green, OD green. I like dark subdued colors. He prefers multicam.
Yeah, I typically go with multicam because that's what most local agencies, most local military for the most part, anybody who would be responding in an emergency situation is most likely going to be wearing a multicam something. So it makes me easily identifiable as somebody who may not necessarily be a threat. It depends on the situation, but I could be identified as somebody potentially friendly.
And then as far as preference, when you get into firearms, a lot of it is preference. He prefers Glock. I prefer Canik. And even though I EDC a Glock, my battle pistol is a Canik TP9 SF. The trigger on it, I just love out of the box. But everything comes down to preference and shooter's preference. What do you like on the range? What are you trained on? And that's really gonna mold what you're going to want to buy. And go to ranges and test out. You can rent guns at ranges, normally at most ranges, and try out what you want and stuff like that.
Depending on your location.
Yeah, depending on your location. Another thing to consider is environment, right? where are you operating at? What part of the country? Where in the world are you operating? If you're in someplace humid and, like here in Southeast, or like in Southeast Texas by the border with Louisiana, you're not going to want to, maybe wear something like this all the time. You may want to consider something like, depending on your mission, you could you downgrade to just a chest rig or something, right? But you're still going to have this. But these are just all environmental considerations you want to take in. And then, with all of this, this takes time to build. We've talked about that in this channel. It takes time to refine your tastes, right, when it comes to this stuff and build it up. I understand, especially in this economy, it's hard to get into something like this. But just know that there are budget options that are still quality. And then if you have the money, there's great options like this.
So, and to touch base on what you were just saying, when it comes to budget, for example, like the PVS 14s that I have up here, I got those on a Facebook resale page. These are very much so an older model. I spent $1,200 on them.
But they work. They work great.
Flawless. They're definitely an early GWatt PVS 14 model. But, I mean, they work, they operate. It didn't break the bank. There's so many options out there in general.
And I kind of want to just leave y'all with this in closing, guys. There's a really good book, piece of material that I want to recommend. It's called Contact, Tactical Manual for Post-Collapse Survival by Max Velocity. It's a really good book. I mean, I come from the Army, right? So I'm used to TMs, training manuals, and being able to read my information that I need to learn, right? Well, this book basically takes military jargon, military language about tactics and survival in an emergency situation, in a grid down situation, and makes it understandable to those that may have never had that military background or that law enforcement background, and makes it digestible and where you can actually start maneuvering. So again, highly recommend this book. Again, Contact, Tactical Manual for Post-Collapse Survival. Check it out. I'll drop a link to it down in the description. Gordy, thanks for joining us and kind of just going over our preferences when it comes to tactical considerations, environmental things. And I hope to have you on again, man. I really appreciate it. Gordy is a part of our mutual assistance group and a good brother of mine. Again, like I said, we served together. So thanks again for being on, brother.
Always.
Love you, man. And as always, guys, preparedness is a family matter. Stay ready.